Let's talk about Elon Musk's tweet. He posts this on X. It says, call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And he publishes that, Aaron, to his 220 million followers on X. And basically, he's going after the big, beautiful budget bill.
Yes, he is. Look, the divestiture of Elon Musk from Donald Trump has been a long time coming. It was just a question of when it was going to hit. And Musk walking out of Doge, having interviews where he's talking about how he's going to pull back from political spending. He doesn't think it's worth it, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this was writing on the wall, right? All of a sudden, we get Elon Musk saying, what the heck? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why are you doing this? Now, the question is, does that have any impact at all?
Let's talk about that in just a second. Here's what is this what President Trump said, Caitlin? Am I going? Okay. She just got mayor. She said that he just said this today.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill.
Okay. So that's what President Trump has said about in response to what Elon Musk is saying about the big, beautiful, I keep calling it the budget bill, but it is the
big,
budget
beautiful bill, yeah.
The big, beautiful bill. But I insert the word budget because I think it helps clarify what we're talking about.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill.
There's a part of me that really wants to talk about, like, what happened to their relationship? What happened to their relationship? This is the first thing. I had a feeling when they launched into this that it wouldn't go much beyond May.
Yeah,
I was I was wrong. It's June, but I was.
You're not really wrong.
Well, I just, and I don't know really why I felt that, other than you got two really strong personalities, putting them in the same room, and then it felt like Musk started to ruffle feathers within the cabinet, and I think probably some of the newly appointed cabinet members were like, let us get our feet under us here and figure out where our cuts need to happen within our agencies before we start sending out mass emails, telling people they're going to be out of a job. So maybe it went a little longer than I thought it would, but here we are. Musk is. He's essentially, he said he's going to stay friends with him. He's going to continue to advise him, but you think it's pretty well over?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's over, but the thing that Elon Musk always had going for him in terms of power and influence was he had his platform on X and he had political spending. He's a mega donor, and that's how he ended up running Doge in the first place, let's be honest, and ended up as sort of a pseudo cabinet member to Trump. If Elon Musk pulls back on his political spending, if he's not going to be the guy who's primarying people who don't do what he thinks they need to do, then, he has his X following, but I think he loses a lot of influence that he had in the first part of the year where, even before Trump was sworn into office, Elon Musk was out there making comments about continuing resolution and how members of Congress should vote. And it was influencing how those members of Congress voted. But it was because nobody knew what kind of power Elon Musk was going to have over everything. Now, he doesn't really have a lot of power over anything anymore. He's he's not a scapegoat, but he's definitely sort of on the outs, I guess. And so does his opinion matter anymore?
Well, he posted this to 220 million followers on X. Call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And this big, beautiful budget bill, while it barely, by one vote, passed the House.
Yeah.
It's met with some resistance on the Republican side of things in the Senate. And there's been chatter about changing it. And we've talked about that. There's some concerns over what it will do to Medicaid recipients, and will people find themselves uninsured, and will some of those who are, in elected office in D.C. in the Senate or in the House as they run for re-election be met with, angry voters because they're in states that may more heavily rely on Medicaid for at least some of the residents. There's also been some concern about the ballooning deficit, and it doesn't go far enough to ensure, pulling back on spending, but in fact, will lead to more spending. But I guess that with this tweet, getting back to this tweet that Musk posted, I don't have a good sense of how many people will go running to their phones to call their senator or call their congressman over this. I don't know. He may have had, and he did have, I think, a lot of pull in the beginning of the Trump administration and the cuts and looking at the federal government and all the layoffs that happened, all the firings that happened. But I don't know how much pull he has to amass his followers to start making these phone calls to have that deep of an impression on this legislation. I just don't have a good finger on that pulse.
I think it's going to be really hard to know that for sure because there are coalitions building that actually don't like some of the things that are in this bill. Even here in the state of Utah, for example, there's a provision in the big beautiful bill that says that states are not allowed to really touch AI policy or regulation for the next 10 years. And that's making a lot of people nervous. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene said, I didn't read this. If I had read this, I would not have voted for it. She's gotten a lot of pushback for that because that was frankly her job. But we have members of the legislature, we have members of the governor's cabinet in Utah who, Rep. Doug Fiafia, who works in the technology space, put out something on his social media saying, look, I'm writing letters to Senators Lee and Curtis, and I want, come help me, come push back on this because states cannot be without the ability to regulate this space for a decade when we don't know where AI is going to be in the next decade. So I don't know how much Elon Musk on his own is affecting this, but there are coalitions building of people who are saying we're concerned about some of the provisions in this, and we don't know that we want this to pass.